Just with food. There's your hope.
Yeah.
That is your hot Subway take. Explain the opposition and let's go.
The reason why I think Italians are fascist at food is because they enforce their worldview of food to everything and every cuisine. And there is this kind of like unspoken and socially enforced belief that Italian cuisine and Italian product, Italian everything is kind of superior to the rest. Like I don't know, like unrefined folks who don't know what a cook. Yes, you peasants, you plebs, you don't know what a good cooked pasta is, as if that would make shit difference to anyone's lives, except Italians. And I think this narrowness around food is kind of like the mirror of the narrow-mindedness and bigotism of like Italian folks at large. Be important how you cook pasta. Yes, the slightly benefit of like cooking it al dente because it's better digestible, but who fucking cares? Sure. And like I think Americans with their casseroles that look like absolute horror are going to be fine. It's not their food that is going to kill them. You know,
it's everything else. I like people who are proud of their culture or whatever part of their identity they associate with. But yeah, there's a whole recurring thing with if somebody splits a pasta, you're gonna get killed. I always assume people exaggerate for fun and jokes, but based on what you said, some of that seems to be true. Like if you use some incorrect sauce on your pasta, or if you are you supposed to have, you can't put red sauce in a white pasta, correct? Is that a thing? Tomato sauce and Alfredo.
Okay,
Alfredo is a white sauce pasta.
You will see the fascist side of my Italianness, because the first reaction would be to say Alfredo isn't a real pasta. It isn't a traditional pasta. Like in Italy, you don't go somewhere and order Alfredo because nobody knows what the fuck that is. And like, what is it? Basically, it's like this pasta that has some Parmesan and butter. I would be hard pressed to find a restaurant that serves me that, because it's like a food that like you eat when you're a child and you're sick. Like it's a very home cooking, low effort kind of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily pair butter and tomato sauce. It seems like a contradiction in my mind, because tomato is supposed to go with olive oil or like some kind of vegetable oil, you know? Parmesan is okay, but butter sounds a bit funny. I'm not sure why. Yeah, but you see like how that works. I basically demonstrated what I told you earlier about Italians and food.
There's a lot of rules, a lot of soft-spoken lines you're not supposed to cross. I understand. Is it also true you guys don't have coffee at all?
You can have multiple coffees throughout the day, even after dinner, but like espresso shots. Usually people like treat cappuccino as kind of a snack thing. Either like you have it for breakfast or like before 10 or 11 if you're having brunch. Some people have a cup of cappuccino as like a midday snack. I don't know if your child wants like some biscuits and a cappuccino at 5 p.m. I guess it's fine. Besides the fact that children shouldn't have caffeine.
I have had so much caffeine growing up. I used to, that was my thing. Like I drink a lot of coffee.
Personality.
Of course. At least it wasn't.
Matcha people are so intense. They have such low iron.
Only about matcha though, they're intense. I really don't like matcha. I tried it out. Well, first few times I didn't enjoy it. Then I went to Thailand and there were some really highly regarded coffee places that did all the right things. And they told me I'm supposed to taste almond in this coffee.
You unsophisticated person.
What do I know? Yes, I'm unsophisticated swine. What do I know? Also, I have transitioned. I just have coffee as dessert now. I have a latte. It's very sweet. It tastes good. I just treat it like dessert. It's fine. I don't need. Double charge espresso.
This is something I am not Italian in. I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee in any capacity. And I generally find it to be a social barrier because coffee is such a huge part of Italian culture. And like when you are, I don't know, when you're acquainting yourself with people, especially university, and you're like, yeah, let's go for a coffee sometimes. And probably some neurodivergence is at work here, but like I would be like, yes, we can go, but I don't drink coffee, so I can just like stand there with you.
Yeah, and that's not acceptable. I faced that with a lot of these social drink, well, with drinking as well. If you have a group of friends that normally drink and you're like, I don't really drink anymore, but I'll go there with you, and that is, you can do it. I think the more you stand your ground, it's funny that you have to stand your ground, but yeah, you need to break this into your circles. It's fine for me
that
not
is
to
true.
partake,
The barrier that I find is not to be like the company person, like to stand there. Is that when you go to like a bar and you have a coffee, because in Italy you have coffee at bars. Like coffee costs around €1.50 an espresso. If you want a tea, that would be at least €3 or €4. For tea, is less expensive than coffee, like per pound. But in Italy, if you want to drink tea outside, that is going to be more expensive than an espresso. And like the time that it takes someone to consume an espresso is barely the time that you have for your tea to get lukewarm, you know? So you have finished your espresso by the time my tea has steeped. What do I do now? This concerns me a lot.
You order a tea. You should just, I don't know. That's weird though. Why would actually more expensive? Let me remember. Yeah. Now that I think of it, teas are very expensive. Like the iced teas.
Loose leaves. Like
we have the tea.
No, I mean not the pre-made, like bottled teas. Like
yeah, that's insane. Do you drink? So people in general just drink coffee.
Mostly coffee. Like people do drink tea, but not as a social thing. Not as much. Like most people just drink teas when they're sick.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. I think in my entire life there have been, since I was probably three years old, I think I've had tea every day other than maybe 4 or 5 days. It was a whole thing for me growing up with that was my breakfast for many years. I would have a cup of tea, but the tea that we have it's milk tea. So it's called cha. It's where, the chai latte stuff came to the West. It's not like cha is not, well, I mean, it is ish like cha. But yeah, my breakfast was just a type of flatbread that we do. We call it a porta. It would just look like a flat. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it in cooking shows and stuff.
I think so. Like in Indian cuisine, they're pretty. I might get the names wrong, but like there is paratha, and then there is another type of flatbread. I think there is also chapati and another one that I'm thinking about, but I can't recall the name.
You're probably thinking of roti. What we say is roti. Yeah, there's so many kinds though. So there's within the roti, so that's what we call it, roti. There's many kinds. There's very thin ones there's a type called rumali roti, which resembles it's very large and it's very thin, and you can bunch it up till it's like this big, but it opens up to be, I think, ginormous pizza sizes. Wow. It's very airy. You have to make it in a certain way. There's 100 kinds of roti, which is what you experience when you're in Southeast Asia. There's a lot of variation, similar to how in the Western world you have many kinds of bread, right? You have a lot of bread is a thing that the West just invested a lot into finding variations of. There's so much variety. Yes. There's a lot of variety here with this kind of stuff as well. We don't do bakeries are a thing here, but they don't nearly have the kind of assortment of, let's say, a German or French bakery. We went on like a full-on food dive. I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface. So maybe we should do like a food.
But like, let me stay on the food for a second more, because like yesterday I watched a clip of Anthony Bourdain on Trump, and the guy had many things to say, but one of the things that stuck with me was, I sat down with Hezbollah, I sat down with people I wouldn't disagree with, but you can still agree on food. And I get I get the impression that he doesn't even like food. And so we can, like, people can still disagree as long as they can agree on food.
Yeah, I think meals, that's interesting. I think in Italy it'd be there'd be this concept in a different kind of way. When you're breaking bread with someone or you're sharing a meal with someone, that's when you cross a certain threshold of acquaintanceship or friendship, or it's the next level. Like, okay, we're sharing a meal together. I don't know, probably it's very evolutionary because maybe it was a whole thing back in the day. It's the same for Italians, probably. Like when you have a guest over and you're sharing a meal, that's probably a big deal. Or I don't know,
I think there are two thresholds. Like the first is like, we don't know each other, and for some reason you're eating at my house, and we are going to do everything to kill you with our food. Like we will stuff you like a turkey, like a goose for foie gras. And the second is like, you are a stable acquaintance. You come at our house unannounced and you eat the same dinner that we're eating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
both those
my
dynamics
question
exist,
wanted to
so
be
that's
like, do you think, like, what is the Bangladeshi attitude towards food? Is it as fascist as Italy's? Is it more relaxed? Are there rules?
So, of course, this would help if I actually could cook stuff. But as someone who's been eating food for nearly 30 years, I'm sure I can have an opinion. I can be allowed an opinion. Bangladeshi cuisine is not as fascist, and there are far fewer rules. There are some staple dishes, but there's a lot of diversity within each of those dishes. So there are certain things that are only found in certain regions where those dishes were originated in certain places. There's also a lot of dishes similar to, I don't know what would be a good example. You've heard of haggis, right? It's the Scottish haggis. So it's like a very specialty item that most people don't like. Some people love. So Bangladesh has a lot of those. Like there are certain dishes that most people would be like, I don't enjoy this. But some people, so there's a lot more diversity. Also, we have a lot of ethnic minorities who unfortunately are treated like ethnic minorities in any other part of history. They're not. Their culture isn't very well preserved. We're also very hip. Like this is again a tangent. I just want this. I think it'd be interesting to you. One of the big identical identities that the Bangladesh person is brought up with is our pride for our language. That started our whole liberation war with West Pakistan, or which is now Pakistan. This used to be East Pakistan. There was a whole movement. The International Mother Language Day is on the 21st of February. It was because of martyrs in our university. Taki University, which is one of the oldest, I think it's the oldest university here. Very sure it is. So we have a lot of heritage and association with our language, but now because of minorities existing, our race or our people as a whole don't extend those same liberties to minorities practicing their languages. They don't get of course there's people who support them and want them. They used to get some quotas in different universities, but it's not largely, I'm talking of masses as a whole. We mistreat our minorities. The masses here it's very tragic. I don't know what word to call them, just blind to, I think I'll just get very sad if I go into, so let me ignore this. Anyway, what were you saying? Food. Yes, we have a lot of diversity. There's many minorities, many different cuisines. Each dish, there's almost So biryani is a very common dish that you might have heard of. It's very popular. So there are lineages of biryani. So there's Nanna biryani. So there was a chef who was called Nanna, and then there's Haji. So there's family recipes of biryani that have been passed down from the Mughal era. Apparently, I have not verified this claim because there's always fakes as well, but I'm sure some of them are from those times. So there's a lot of variation here. There are no rules, like you cannot do this, you cannot do that. There is an idea of what a good dish is, but it's not really very strict. And the modern generation is a lot more open to fusion. So a lot of our restaurants do play around. So Chinese food, for example, there's something we call Bangla Chinese, which is not Chinese. It is good. For our palate, because we are used to a lot of spices, the Oriental Chinese and Japanese food, for the large majority, would not taste as good because of just how we've grown up with food. So there's a Bangla version of these imported foods. So Bangla Chinese, I associated it with a kind of noodles. So Cantonese noodles are a certain kind of way. I enjoy them as well, but Bangla Chinese noodles is a lot more unhealthy because we use a lot more sauce and spices, but I also think it's tastier. So no, it's not as strict as food, but it's definitely very close to, I think, and I'm heavily biased, I think Bangla food is the best. There are other cuisine, and I'm trying to be as objective as I can. I've had other foods. Thai food is amazing, S tier, but Bangla people can really cook. So a lot of the chefs that you see around the world in Indian restaurants or many different kinds of restaurants, they're actually Bangla. So people who immigrate,
I think
a lot
I
of
went
them
to
turn into
a
chefs. So
Bangla Bengali restaurant in Milan. It was really good. We had naan. That's the flatbread I was trying to recall. And the tamarind sauce was really good. I really liked it. I don't know how accurate that was, but the lady was super sweet. The peak part of the dinner was like there was basically no one there. There was this dude, like I'm not sure where from, like of which ethnicity, but like he was just there chilling on his phone, and then he went to the bathroom and left his phone on the table. When he came back, she went to him and she scolded him. She was like, "You left your phone on the table. If someone comes in and robs you, like that's on you." Like she gave him a whole spiel as if was a lecture. It was amazing to witness. I was there taking like ethnographic notes.
This is very Bangladesh. Like, that completely. I can
really
see
good.
it happening.
I enjoyed it.
You don't even have to describe it.
As for classifying cuisines, we should just stay on the food. Like, this is the food episode.
I think we should do a food episode
like
2.0
with a different but for cuisines, I have a different system. I think we should classify cuisines by category and not by cuisine itself. So bread, what kind of bread? Baguette is like France or Belgium. Yes. Like black bread, Germany. Like wheat, how is wheat? Like what kind of wheat? Pasta, okay, Italy. And like cheese, would have to go with France. Even concerning vegan cheeses. Vegan cheese, like French vegan cheese is a lot better than the Italian vegan cheese that I've tried. Like noodles, rice noodles, wheat noodles, soba noodles. What kind of noodles? Like we can't just say, yes, Chinese cuisine is better. I mean, if I had to pick one cuisine, I think Chinese cuisine does all of that. Like even like bread, like they have like some kinds of breads that I can get behind. So if I had like a gun pointed to my head, name the best cuisine or I will kill you, I would have to say Chinese cuisine. Why? Because Chinese cuisine is so diverse, you can find a little bit of everything you like. Sweets, yes, they have that. And they are different. Like I used to talk to this Chinese dude that I met on exchange. He was from north of China, very close to Mongolia and Russia. And I used to ask him, I found this tofu pudding. Like, how should I cook? How should I make it? And he would say, we would actually have the same dish, but in a savory version because we don't have a lot of desserts. And I was thinking, like, and the food that I was seeing was kind of like a Chinese cuisine reinterpreted by Chinese American immigrants, or like immigrants to Thailand. And they were using kind of different ingredients based on what was available to them. Yes.
Available. Yeah. So that's your favorite. I mean, if you had to choose. Okay. Fair enough. The diversity thing for sure, because Northern China is very large.
Yes.
All of their different extremities, region-wise, have their own thing. Even within, so you introduce some nuance in terms of what kind of noodles. Even within, let's say, soba, there's so many types, and even within, there's just a lot of variation. I would not choose Chinese. Chinese food is really good. I don't like a lot of them as well. I like a lot of the dishes I tried, and a lot of them
they also win in the tofu department. But they have been specializing in that for thousands of years.
Yes, I have to agree. There's one tofu dish that I really liked. That was my first proper exposure to tofu. It was a braised tofu dish, and it was made by a restaurant, which is now no longer good. It was called Kung Fu Dumplings, and the owner was Chinese. And he left for whatever reason. But the braised tofu that I had was really good. It was very sweet and sour. And they also had a mushroom dish. It was wood ear mushrooms, if you know what they're like black. They look like ears. And they marinated it overnight and they were a cold dish. It wasn't hot, so they marinated it in spices and soy sauce overnight.
And that with some cilantro on top. What is your opinion on cilantro? Here in Italy, it's very divisive.
I don't have a strong opinion.
Person I've heard saying that.
Cool. Like yeah, probably because I don't cook. I'm not very picky as a food person. I don't have fish because that's a whole nother thing. But I don't usually have fish. But other than that, I don't really. I will tell you if I enjoy something or not, but I'm not very picky. Particularly when there have been many times where people like, oh, this is like a thing. What do you think of this?
But you must have heard or tapped into at some point the online big cilantro, the cilantro wars. Never heard of that. Well, apparently, I think it's a Western thing. I don't think it's like the rest of the world bothers with our bullshit. But at least for white people, there is either you like cilantro or you detest it. I am an enjoyer of cilantro.
Okay. What is your opinion?
Yes, because I'm not a fascist Italian.
I would have figured.
Italians don't like cilantro. They either love it and they are on the good side of food history, or they hate it and they are going to go down in shame.
Do you know why this is? Is this like a recent thing?
This requires more time.
Like this through the ages. Okay, we can get on another Zoom.
No, we can do another Zoom and then we call it a day.
Okay.
And we close a couple of tangents.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay. You'll need to send the Zoom link because I have a feeling. Why did you
introduce itself? I don't know how to give you recording permission.
Go to host controls and there should be a thing.
Yeah, why?
Cool.
I give you recording permission.
I will send it, no worries. That will be wonderful. Where is this recording? It's in users documents Zoom. So that video is I have it. I have the last one.
I think it's automatically
request to record on computer. I sent a request. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, there you go. I'm recording. Both of us are recording. So before we go back into the food thing, if you have a lot of issues like working with the clips of today, don't feel any pressure to make it work, because we of course had many technical issues.
I don't know.
I'm sure we got some clips, but yeah, you don't have. Hello. Yes. It like New York.
Yeah, no pressure to make it work.
What was I saying? I forgot.
I will not put too much effort into this,
Yes,
being honest, because I mean, it's really a problem. I need things to work the first time. Otherwise, I have a lot of trouble redoing them.
Yes, that is fair. And I don't want this no strings attached podcast episode to be another stressor or another string.
Yes. Yeah.
We can treat it like, I don't know, just practice sessions, right? Yeah. We can, I'm sure it will get to the point where it is not as complicated.
What was your question?
Till then, we don't need to
cilantro?
make it work. Yeah.
Why don't Italians like cilantro?
Cilantro. I think I asked if this has always been the case, or if cilantro did something.
It hasn't always been the case.
You know, the Italians.
There was a time when Italians didn't know that cilantro existed, probably. Well, Italian cuisine, it hasn't a lot of spice. Okay. Like it has salt and pepper that are not even considered spices in some places because they are the building blocks. Right. Exactly.
It's not.
That is actually the right way to put it. I mean, because you are right. It's right. It's not spice. I mean, pepper technically can be considered a spice because of how it's produced. The other one is like rosemary, which is an herb. Thyme, also an herb. Sage, an herb. Garlic, not a spice technically.
Garlic is an aromatic. Yeah, I mean, yes.
And then it's in some selected dishes, classified as spice. More prevalent in certain regions of Italy, you have chili, like a red chilies. Okay. And that's it. That's a whole spiciness that you can get from like Italian cuisine. There is no cardamom, no curry, no coriander, no fennel seeds, like no nothing. Like the interesting stuff is not there. And so when Italy started to receive more, I mean, receive is a wrong word, when Italy started to witness more immigration from East Asia, obviously people came with their cultures and their traditions and their tastes, their own taste, and they started opening up their shops because you couldn't buy the stuff that, like if you were an Indian or a Bangla immigrant in the early 2000s in Italy, you would not have found most of the stuff that you liked or used to. So like people started setting up shops and then opening up the restaurants to cook food for other people. Like the Bangla food scene in Italy is big because Italy is one of the European countries that has the most Bangla immigrants.
Okay, I didn't know. Well, I
it could have been something else. Like for example, I mean, Czech Republic and Germany have a lot of Vietnamese culture and food because during the Soviet Union, lots of people from Vietnam immigrated there through the Soviet Union. And so Italians became acquainted with this whole world of taste, of flavors that were new for their taste buds and said, okay, some things are good, like biryani. I think most people would enjoy biryani. But cilantro is a very peculiar taste for us because it has some fresh elements. It has a kind of a wasabi undertones of spice and some bitterness. And the three things together, I don't think are very familiar to taste buds because I can't, off the top of my head, think of a dish that would have those elements together as to give you the same kind of flavor profile. You had to put mint and garlic and maybe some crème or brafano. I don't remember. I will put the English name for this somewhere together. But there isn't a mint and brafano dish that I can think of because those are considered contrasting flavors.
You need
so
master chef
that's why I think. Also, I think most people have a low tolerance for spice at the gastrointestinal level. This is what you would hear most of the time.
Yeah, that is a big deal. I've seen it. Westerners cannot comprehend the amount of spiciness or how much spicy food we have. I remember seeing, where was it? I don't exactly remember. I think it was pretty recently. I was having a meal with some people from a jiu-jitsu class, and they're not Bangla, they're foreigners. They were dying at while having khichdi. So khichdi is a kind of yellow rice. We use lentils with the rice, so it turns yellow. And we use some turmeric, so that goes into it. There's other spices too. They were calling the rice spicy, and on a scale of, yes, it probably had some pepper as well. But I mean, you don't usually use pepper, but you use it's like ground spices and pachmosla, some sort of, so pachmosla means 5 spices literally, but it's actually a mixture of different spices you'd use in rice dishes. You can make your own spice concoction, or you can get them pre-made. Different companies make it. You can also get them at the loose market where they grind different spices.
And
you can get a spice.
It's spicy in the sense that has some chilies in it.
That's true. So curry is a good example. Curry mix, the one you get in the store, it's a generic curry mix made for a mass market. But people who regularly make curry, like my aunt, she's a very good cook. She doesn't buy store-bought spice mix. She goes to the loose market and she specifies what ingredients she wants in her spice mix, and then they grind the spice down, grind it down, and they mix it according to her specifications. And of course, that curry and your average curry will taste different because they're two different spices. So you have an infinite assortment. Anyway, so they were sweating at the right, like just having the rice. I mean, but this doesn't even register. This is not. I wouldn't even imagine to call it spicy. That being said, my spice tolerance is going down over the years. I now enjoy stuff that's a little bit more mellow, but not in terms of Western palates. No, like it's just different. And we don't even, because a lot of the street food that we have, it's kind of like that, like if white people have street food in this part of the world, even if the place is hygienic, sometimes they will get ill because their stomachs just cannot take that many spices and that much like it's just not made for that sort of stuff.
Like
so
there is a wild, I think, difference in regulations just within the European Union. Regulations around food hygiene are pretty different.
There's no regulation here for street food. I mean, there are BSTI for restaurants and there's that stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty well known that street food in Southeast Asia is not, well, there's a whole spectrum of it, of course. There's hygienic, clean places. There's also places that are not, they don't maintain as much hygiene. The thing is, though, I grew up having anything I saw. When I had my pocket money, I saw something, I just had it. So you just build an immunity. You don't get ill you just don't. I mean, even if it is, of course, you try not to eat at places that have hygiene problems.
I recently saw a video of someone hiking to Everest Base Camp, and like there were the usual problems, altitude sickness. But the only person who couldn't continue the hike was a dude who got food poisoning. And
I said that's the reel I sent you, no?
I thought it was so hilarious. Like you can beat high altitude sickness, but if you're going to get diarrhea on Everest, you're down.
Yeah, it is very challenging. The Everest, I mean, there's the altitude. Also, you don't have comforts that you have, like access to comfortable toilets, or you don't have that stuff. And yeah, the food as well. So I think, I sent it to you and you're like, yes, I will risk food
it's not that I will risk food poisoning. I would be the person to get food poisoning. I got food poisoning in every place I went to in my life. Yes.
That's crazy. Oof. I There's a hack that I use. Maybe it won't work for you, but this is so when I'm having shady food that I know is shady. So I've had like I when I'm traveling and I know that this is not the cleanest, but I still want to have it. I just tell my body, okay, don't get ill, and then I have it and it doesn't get ill.
Wow.
I manifest
Then
not having
it,
and I feel it,
of
but my body
body
doesn't
control. You must know, all of my food poisoning didn't come from sketchy foods. It came from like normal stuff. And some of the stuff I don't even like, some of the times I don't even know what gave me food poisoning. I just that's why, like, I don't know. I really want to travel to Southeast Asia, but I don't think I would come back. My body is too weak.
I think you should. Well, I still think you definitely should travel, but don't eat random stuff. I would just say there is a way to, as much as you might hate it, have the Western sanitized experience. Only drink bottled water. Don't eat street food. Eat only at places where you see that they are clean and all of that. And then, I mean, you never know. If you keep reintroducing yourself over time, maybe you can dare try some of the street stuff. This is one underrated I discovered, or maybe I articulated today as a Bangladeshi person who I was not sheltered from. I'm not bougie that I only had food or I had everything growing up, like street food. Bro, I don't know if this will make it into the video. After football, we used to play football and there aren't really that many fields here. It's very, very hard. It's very far away. It's not very good. It's not nice. It's very remote. And after football, there used to be one cart that sold drinks, and the drinks were a very old crate and old Coca-Cola and Sprite bottles that didn't have Coca-Cola and Sprite. We have no idea where they got the water. We think they just took it out of the tap somewhere, and tap water here it's not like it doesn't go through processing. You cannot drink tap water. I mean, you could, but I mean, people would not be okay. I think they just put some like sugar syrup in some tap water and some flavor. Bro, that shit would kill most of modern humanity. We just had it during sports growing up. Like I wouldn't even hypothesize where that water came from. Like we know this is not good. We shouldn't be drinking this, but we're playing sports and it's far away and we're thirsty. So we just did it.
I mean, kids
I wouldn't do it today, but I was young.
Guess.
I mean, particularly when you don't think this is gonna make you ill. So now if I had it, I would probably manifest illness, quote unquote. Like I wouldn't be able to tell my body don't get ill because I'm like, oh, this is, but as a kid, I just had the worst like so bad. The hygiene was very bad for a lot of the street food. What was I trying to say? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, the underrated gift. This gives me the superpower that I can walk the world unafraid of the food that I'm about to have.
Definitely.
Like I legitimately, as long as it now meets my current hygiene standards, which is like it's cooked and it's just clean, it doesn't have parasites in the water.
I have a friend who is living in Bangalore, and I mean, it sounds like a cool place. And I saw this video on TikTok of this girl going to India and say, hey, if you don't know what to eat in India, just go to a temple and get temple food. And it looked good. So I sent him the video and I said, hey, try that if you don't like buffalo, because he was struggling because he couldn't find beef. I mean, obviously. And he sent me a picture of temple food in Bangalore. And it was literally like it was someone eating a meal, and the meal was not in a plate, it was on the ground. And he told me they need to feed so many people who can't afford to feed themselves. There isn't cutlery here, Veronica, and I already had food poisoning 3 times since I came. Influencer temple food for me for life. I do not need further the influencing. If there is cutlery and plates, I will try it.
You'll
or I can bring my own plate.
But there is hygienic. They usually have banana leaves. That's what traditionally you use to serve food. Like in places like this, banana leaves are very convenient because you can just throw them away. And that's why I'm very surprised that they start.
It was very jarring, and like I couldn't see banana leaves, but that is not to say that they weren't covered by the food. Maybe like they were there. Let me sending it to you on WhatsApp.
Please do. This is how you would, let me send you a picture of how you would usually. This looks like a very aesthetic picture, but yeah, you'll get the point. This is how you would usually. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. This is like the picture you sent me. This is just mass. They don't have funds to do any prep. They just have to feed a lot of people. They're
also,
trying
like,
to do good
temples
work. I understand.
are not for
there's a lot of
like
ashrams and temples.
Western TikTokers. So
yeah, but I like there are certain ashrams that don't do this. So I don't mean to discredit their work. I'm sure they have very difficult time feeding people. It's very hard work.
There are so many. There are bound to be many different things.
This again is one of the tangents that's going to. We don't have food problems like this part of the world. By food problems, we don't have problems that can't be very easily solved. And by very easily, I'm talking in terms of a global perspective. For instance, it would be hard for you to reverse the impact that we have had on the climate. It's very hard, very difficult, and it's getting worse. The food issue in this part of the world, food grows so easily. It's just so easy to grow food that the fact that there are people that are starving just makes very little sense unless you take into account that there are people with resources incentivized not to do what is, I don't even know how to articulate it. I think the sad part is it wouldn't really affect their life too much if they made lives for the masses easier. People who are not, they don't have homes, they don't have money. If we gave them food, it wouldn't affect the system.
It's not about
much.
The rich making their money. It's about the rich making their money at everybody's expenses otherwise.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Most of the people could still exist. Just feeding the people who can't afford to feed themselves they're not directly capitalizing on that misery because those people don't have money, right? Like it does not, that's a evil that doesn't even turn into money. That's just a problem. That's just neglected people. That is suffering for I'm not saying suffering for economic output is better, but that is literally just a problem that is there because nobody will pay attention to it. But
this was not strings attached.
So on that note,